So welcome to the Rotary eClub of Silicon Valley. My name is Steven Zhao, and I am the president-elect for this Rotary Club. I'm going to be filling in for President Mitty today because he's actually going to be our guest speaker this week. So every week we bring to you a new program about technology, innovation, education, or humanitarian services. Okay. So our program topic this week is about travel hacking, and our guest is Mitty Chang, who many of you know as our club president for this year. And Mitty's been with part of the Rotary family for the past 12 years. 2 years as an interactor, 8 years as a rotaractor, and 2 years as a Rotarian. So as a graduate of the University of California, Davis, Mitty got into travel hacking back in 2009. And since then, he's traveled to many countries, 24 countries in a span of just 7 years. So Mitty currently is the creative director and co-founder of Candiver, a digital marketing and design agency based here in Silicon Valley. So please join me in welcoming Mitty. And Mitty, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Steven. Really appreciate that. And I'm excited to be speaking to all of you guys here today. Let me go ahead and start by sharing my screen for all of you. So we do this quick screen share really quick, but I'm excited to actually be talking today about, not about Rotary, but actually about something that is kind of near and dear to my heart, and it's a hobby of mine. It's called travel hacking. Some of you may also know it as miles and points enthusiasts, or you might know it as just collecting points in general. There are different names for it, but there's a widely accepted term called travel hacking for it. But the idea is traveling the world for a few dollars and using airline miles and hotel points and other points in order to achieve that goal. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can actually get involved in travel hacking and how you can have a business class flight or an economy flight from San Francisco to Korea, for example, for only about 35 bucks. So really briefly about me. Again, my name is Mitty. For those of you guys who are new to our club, it's great to see some guests join us. And I've been travel hacking since 2009. The main reason I actually got into travel hacking originally was so that I could attend a Rotary International convention that was out of the country. It was in Bangkok, Thailand. And I really wanted to go, but I couldn't afford the cash price for the airfare. So what I ended up doing was getting more involved with travel hacking and signed up for my first airline credit card back then, and ended up taking my round trip flight to Bangkok, Thailand for only 35 bucks each way. So I've been able to travel to the past 9 Rotary International conventions because of travel hacking. I've been on average, each of my flights are about $35, and that's about just the airport tax. The taxes do vary by country and airport you're flying into. But it's definitely opened up a world of new opportunities for me. And I want to share a little bit about that today. So what are points and miles, and why should you care? So here are a few reasons you might care. And so first you have to understand that virtually every airline and hotel chain has their own loyalty program for points or miles. You also have point systems that are beyond just hotel and airlines. For example, some train systems like Amtrak have points, loyalty points, or you can even go down to the grocery store level where some grocery stores have points as well. But then of course, there's also the bank and credit card level where some credit cards have their own type of points, like Chase's Ultimate Reward points, or else Citibank's Thank You points, or American Express's Membership Reward points. So in this conversation, we're talking about every type of point system that would get you travel. So that would get you closer towards an airline ticket you can purchase with the points, or a hotel night you can get with these points. All of that is included, and including even rental cars, for example. So 8 reasons to care about why points matter. Number 1 is to connect with relatives and friends. So this is a picture of myself and my grandmother, and she's in Taipei, Taiwan. So I was able to visit her last year because of the miles and points I have, and that flight was about $30 each way. And without the points, it would have been a lot more difficult to be able to manage that trip. Number 2, see the world. So if you've ever thought that, there are places you want to travel to, but you just don't have the money, the funds to do it. Travel hacking opens a world of possibilities for you, especially when you start realizing a flight to Paris or a flight to Sydney, Australia, or even a flight to Beijing, China. It costs about $35 each way from San Francisco. So when you start realizing that's the valuation, that's the out-of-pocket cost, the world is suddenly your oyster. Number three, and this is much more Rotary specific, but experience the global family of Rotary. It's amazing that Rotary is 1.2 million members and in nearly every country in the world, and it's great that you can actually travel through Rotary. There's a Rotary Club just about everywhere you want to go, and you can actually reach out to Rotary clubs or Rotary clubs and reach out to them ahead of time. Tell them you're coming to visit. You're interested in meeting other Rotarians or Rotaractors, and a lot of them are willing to meet up with you and reach out to you. So for our club members, Rotarians, if you guys are interested in traveling somewhere but you want to get connected, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go on Rotary.org's club locators, club search, and you can find a Rotary club in the country or the city you're going to. Or alternatively, you can reach out to our own club network. You can ask myself, or you can ask in our private Facebook group or in the comment section of this meeting about where you might want to go to, and we'll see if we can get you connected through some of our contacts. The fourth is just enjoying a better airport and air experience in general. So there are a lot of hacks per se, but a lot of cards that open up airport access to you for free, as well as if you get into elite status for airlines, you start getting airport lounge access for free as well. And a lot of these lounges offer very relaxing spaces that have power outlets, free Wi-Fi, complimentary drinks, including complimentary alcoholic drinks, and then some of these airline lounges also offer free food. So instead of paying for that meal at the airport or a drink at the airport, suddenly you're getting all that for free. The fifth reason is just to arrive a little bit more rested. So in this screen, the background photo is a stock image. That's not really me. I think you guys know that, but I've had that kind of experience too. And then the three photos to the left of that are actually photos I've taken on one of the trips I've done. So I had the opportunity to take a first class trip from Tokyo to San Francisco recently, a couple months ago, and the cost to me was about $40 each for the trip itself. So I took a one-way, and that's $40 for what normally is a $9,000 cash ticket. And I normally wouldn't have that kind of opportunity presented to me. So it's great to have travel hacking open up new doors and new experiences. So the sixth reason is, of course, I think some of our club members know this, but I'm a huge foodie, so I love food. So being able to eat awesome food and not really pay for it. I know it sounds kind of like a weird concept, but being able to access airport lounges that have great culinary chefs who offer all these foods for free is another great reason to maybe get into travel hacking. Number 7 is afford places you normally can't. When I did my Europe trip, I had the opportunity to stay at the St. Regis in Venice, and it's a very, very nice hotel. The cash price at the time was about 800 euros a night, but I was able to stay there for a few nights for free. So it didn't cost me anything. There's no taxes or anything once you're using points, and that exchange rate for what I was getting for my points was really invaluable for me. So it opens up even more doors when you start realizing you can stay at these nice 5-star hotels, and it won't cost you anything. And number 8, the coolest reason of all is just to have fun. Traveling the world, I think, brings you so many more experiences, but also makes you so much more. It makes you wiser in so many different ways, and brings you a wealth of different experiences. So I think it's great to be able to kind of travel around. This is a photo of me in New Zealand, in Hobbit Town. So it's where they kind of filmed the Lord of the Rings, Hobbiton, so the Hobbit village. Then I just had a great time. So things to consider when starting off. So this is the fun part. So I'm going to give a very brief overview about how you could get into travel hacking. There's a huge community for this that you can Google, that you can talk to me more about if you're interested. Of course, travel hacking isn't necessarily the right cup of tea for everyone. And there are places you can be in the world that make travel hacking more accessible to others. For example, the United States is probably the best place to be if you want to get into travel hacking because of the plethora of different options that you have available to you and different offers. But things to consider when first starting off. I think the biggest thing to consider is, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve from travel hacking? Because ultimately, the points will always devalue year after year, whether or not they're airline points or hotel points. So it's not necessarily a way to save up money, but it's definitely a great way to get to point A, from point A to point B. But you have to kind of have goals in mind too. So think about this. Do you want to travel somewhere domestically? Do you want to travel somewhere internationally? And is one of your goals to travel first class or business class internationally? Because that's a completely different product. And that within itself can be a goal. Maybe your goal is to travel with other people or your significant other, or to stay at some hotels you normally wouldn't be able to stay at, or to take your friends or family to a really nice vacation. All of these could be your goals. But keep in mind that the goals really guide what cards, and we'll talk about cards shortly, but what cards you would end up opening, what promotions you would end up signing up for, what kind of airlines and hotels you would concentrate some of your maybe business travel in or cash travel in, and then things to kind of think about. And then, of course, when you reach your first goal or your next goal, you start setting more goals, because ultimately the points aren't really be saved since they do devalue. So let's talk about credit cards. So this opens up a new conversation, because the quickest way to earn airline miles and hotel points is ultimately through credit cards. And a lot of these cards are available exclusively to U.S. citizens or people who are U.S. residents. So I know that we have some members who are international. We have some guests who are international. So these cards will vary in terms of availability depending on where you live and work. So some of this may not necessarily be applicable if you are, for example, living in Australia or in South Africa. So just kind of things to keep in mind while we're having this conversation. But let's talk about cards. So a lot of cards have some kind of sign-up offer. Part of this is because the marketing companies for these cards realize that once someone opens up a credit card, they're less likely to ever close that card. A lot of people are afraid of closing cards because they think that it will negatively affect their credit score. And then so there are different points and fine bullet points for that conversation. But specifically cards like this Chase Sapphire Reserve card, which is a brand new card. It released earlier last month, which is August 2016. And it's meant to be Chase's high-tier premium miles card. So this card sign-up bonus right now is 100,000 bonus points. You have to spend a spend requirement of $4,000 on purchases, though, within the first 3 months after opening the account. And that's outlined very clearly in large font over there. But let me give you an example of what the 100,000 bonus points is worth. It's worth, if you want cash back for travel, it's worth at least $1,500. But we're going to actually show you an example of what you could actually convert that directly to when we're talking about air travel. But some tips to start off with is that, focus on your goal, set your goal. Maybe you want to travel to the Bahamas, or maybe your goal is to travel just from coast to coast in the US, from San Francisco to New York City. Or maybe your goal is to travel to Australia or to France, or to China, or to Japan. Like, all of these options are available to you, but it's important to understand what your destination is and what you need to achieve it in terms of how many points and in which airline. So once you have your goal set, the next step is really to start opening up the free loyalty accounts that every airline and hotel chain has. So let's talk, for example, United Airlines has their Mileage Plus program. You can sign up for free on united.com. It doesn't cost you anything to sign up. It's not a credit card. It's just their rewards program. American Airlines has their AA Advantage program as well. So it's their version of the loyalty program. Same deal. It's free to sign up. You should sign up for these programs if you ever fly on these airlines, because whether or not you yourself pay for the ticket, or it's a friend, or it's your company, or it's another organization that pays for your air ticket, only the passenger can receive the air miles and get credited for this. So essentially, if you're a business traveler, your company flies you around, you definitely want to make sure that for whatever airline that is, you get credited the airline miles, because that can get you closer to a flight later on when you want to get somewhere personally. There are also different programs that you use to track different reward points. So if you're suddenly thinking, well, now I have half a dozen or a dozen different loyalty programs that I have to keep track of, there's actually websites like awardwallet.com that lets you track all of your airline miles and hotel points across multiple programs, all in a single site. But specifically, let's go back to the 100,000 points. Let's take a look at what we can do with this. And in this case, I'm actually going to use a case study about how I got from San Francisco to Seoul this past June, actually, a couple months ago, because I was there for the Rotary National Convention. And so I think a lot of you guys know this, but I'm hooked on traveling, I'm hooked on food, but I'm also hooked on attending these Rotary National Conventions because there's such great networking opportunities, and I'm able to see my international friends year after year. So it's kind of like a great reunion for me. The first step is understanding where you want to go, and then also what airlines fly there. United Airlines is a great airline to go with if you're looking for reward redemption. I know that the product itself, like the seats and the service, is a little bit subpar, I think, from the standard. But when it comes down to it, there's actually very few other airlines that have such a great alliance in terms of having great award redemption availability. So plugging into their calendar, you can go to your united.com site. It looks like that. And you can actually check mark the search for reward travel option. And then they'll let you search for how much you would need for a miles trip from point A to point B. So I searched for San Francisco to Seoul, and these come out to availability. So you notice that they're differently colored. So we always want to find a Savor Award ticket. So a standard award ticket is twice the amount of miles than a Savor Award ticket. So this is a great example of that page. So San Francisco to Seoul, South Korea. So you'll notice that there's economy, business, Savor, and standard. There's first Savor and first class standard. There are different ways to go about looking at this, but we're always looking for a Savor Award. United recently combined their economy to Savor and standard into a single column, and then it's very obvious when you're looking at this. So a one way from North America to Asia or North America to Europe, for example, over United economy is going to cost you about 35,000 or 40,000 airline miles plus the airport tax fee. So for economy to Seoul from San Francisco, this was 35,000. So we're looking at the second row, 35,000 airline miles with United plus $5.60. That's the airport tax fee from San Francisco into Seoul. So that's usually wherever you're flying into charges that kind of tax. You'll notice there's also other rows that say 80,000 miles. That really just depends. So the 80,000 is a standard award ticket price, right? And then so you also notice in the next column, a business saver is only double the economy saver. So it's 80,000 miles plus $5.60 to travel to Seoul from San Francisco on United for simply business class. So business class is normally, this kind of ticket would be at least $4,000 cash. So gives you an idea of what your miles could be worth. And of course, United partners with other airlines to fly you there. So that particular row of flights is operated by Air Canada. And then when you're searching for the flights, so far it's 35,000 miles you would need. We're going to just take the taxes on the side. And then when we're looking through it, we're looking for the return flight too. And we see that we can find another return flight that's 35,000 miles. So that's economy saver. But this time the taxes are a lot more. And that's just because of flying out of South Korea, but flying into San Francisco. And then so that the taxes end up being $42.40. And this is what it ends up looking like. So when we add both together, we need a total of 70,000 United miles and $48 in cash in order to do round trip San Francisco to Seoul. So now that we know this, how do we get the miles? So earlier I showed you the screen. This is a new card, but realize that new bonus, that 100,000 bonus points that you would sign up for like a Chase Sapphire Reserve card would automatically get you a round trip economy ticket, subject to availability, from North America to Asia or North America to Europe, because for United, their system is actually by region. So they charge a flat rate for your miles per region you're going, not based off the cash value of the ticket at the moment. So it's great to be able to redeem that during peak seasons like summer or during the holidays. So let's do the math. This is the math for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card that I just showed you. I think some of you guys will have heard about this card, but you'll also note that this is a premium airline card. A lot of the airline cards have some kind of annual fee, but most of them on average are closer to about $90 a year. And some of them do waive the first year. This card fee is actually $450 per year, and they don't waive the first year. So a lot of you are probably at this point thinking, wow, that's expensive card. I'm not really going to do anything with that. So let's break down the math though. Before you get too scared, right? So first, realize there's that 100,000 points, and bare minimum, that's worth $1,500. But let's put that on the side. Let's not consider that as part of the math for the annual fee. This card actually gives you a $300 statement credit for airlines every year. So as long as you are flying and purchasing your ticket with this card, or purchasing baggage fees, or you're purchasing food on the airline or anything on the airline like a gift card, you will get reimbursed up to $300 per year in your statement credit immediately. So that's great. So we're now down to $150 you have to justify, right? So this card also gets you 3 points per dollar you spend on travel and dining. So that base minimum is at least worth 3% cash back. Which is great because travel includes food, but also includes parking tickets, includes airlines, hotels, anything like that. And travel and dining generally will be the bulk of your purchases. Now, there are a couple other things. So Priority Pass is an airport lounge membership program. So Priority Pass will basically give you access to virtually pretty much at least one airport lounge per airport you're traveling to, in general rule of thumb. There are thousands of different airport lounges they partner with, and it's great to have that kind of access, and you'll get free membership in there. So normally this would be about anywhere from a $30 to $50 entrance fee that you get free because you have this card that comes with this Prestige card. So if you ever buy a meal at the airport, that's going to be about $20. Suddenly you're getting that for free. Maybe you can take a friend with you as well, so keep that in mind too. But right below that, we also have the $100 reimbursement for global entry. So global entry for U.S. citizens specifically is the ability to sign up ahead of time and be registered with the government. You get a separate ID card that's a photo ID card for the government. And it basically is a fast lane pass for whenever you're coming back into the country. You skip the normal immigration line, you go straight to global entry line. It's kiosk machines, and it speeds you right through. The other thing it grants you is TSA pre. So if you're ever at an airport and you see a TSA pre line, which is basically a fast pass line for going through TSA, where you don't have to take off your shoes, you don't have to take out your laptop, and it goes much faster, and there's usually only business travelers. You get all of that actually free from this card. So they reimburse you $100 to apply for it. And of course, the other benefits to card like purchase and travel protection or no transaction fees. No foreign transaction fees. But the big thing to realize is that the Chase Sapphire Preferred cards get what's called the ultimate rewards points for Chase. And those transfer on a 1-to-1 ratio to a lot of different partners, including United. So the 100,000 points you earn from the Chase Sapphire preferred card, the reserve, for example, transfer directly to United. And suddenly you already have enough for that round trip economy from here to Asia or here to Europe, guaranteed, for just having that single card open. You can always close the card later if you don't think there's value for it. But that's an idea. Another idea is, there are other lower tier cards that you can sign up for, but you might have to sign up for more than one to achieve the 70,000 points you might need on United. For example, Chase also has a Sapphire Preferred. So this is not the reserve card, but preferred card. And this only has a $95 per year annual fee. But you only get 40,000 bonus points, and you'll realize right here that you still need to spend $4,000 on purchases in the first 3 months to get that. And then there's also a Chase United card, for example. The United Airlines card gets you 30,000 bonus miles for signing up. You have to spend $1,000 on purchases within the first 3 months. So you'll know that 40,000 bonus miles plus 30,000 bonus miles automatically gets you 70,000 miles. So different ways to achieve your goal, but to get you to that free airline ticket. So let's talk a little bit about some FAQ, and then we'll jump to Stephen for some questions. But the biggest question that people usually ask is, what about my credit score? So I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't really comment. You'll have to check with your financial advisor. And Stephen's laughing because he's a financial advisor. But there are different factors to your credit score. Your credit score isn't just one single factor about the age of your credit history, for example. It's a number of different factors. So here are some of the most common factors that factor into your credit score as given by Equifax.com and CreditKarma.com. So your credit card utilization, so how much you actually carry a balance over or are spending on your card, has a very high impact. So generally speaking, good rule of thumb is to make sure you're not really carrying a balance over if you can. And if you have to carry a balance over, it shouldn't ever be more than 33% of your total credit limit. And then so there are different guidelines for that. Different people have different things, but just keep in mind there's a very high impact there. Payment history, whether or not you're paying off your card on time, that's a huge impact. You should always pay off your card on time. And then derogatory marks, like you don't pay your card on time, or if you ever have been bankrupt, those have a huge effect on your credit score. And then the age of credit history, so that's a medium impact. And then credit inquiries, low impact. So those two items, age of credit history and credit inquiries, will be a big factor for a lot of travel hackers, because when you apply for a new card, you get a credit inquiry. So low impact, but it adds up. And then the age of your credit history. So if you decide that you don't want to keep the credit card after a year, suddenly that age of credit history does have somewhat of an impact. But you'll notice that the bulk of the impact is actually based off of whether or not you're carrying balances over, whether or not you pay off everything on time. And as long as you're treating your credit cards like something where you need to have it paid off, I think you'll be in a really good state. Most of the people that I've mentored and myself personally, credit cards, especially because I'm young, actually, the more credit cards I've added, the higher my credit score has gone up. And you have to keep in mind a few caveats. So I don't carry balances over, and that's really key and important. And I pay off my bills, right? So that's very important too. Airline credit cards and hotel credit cards, no matter what the sign-up bonuses are, pretty much always have terrible APRs, which is the interest rate you pay if you carry a balance over. You pretty much never want to be carrying a balance over on these cards. There are other cards if you really need to carry a balance over that you would get. So something to keep in mind. Other questions. What if you don't spend $4,000 in 3 months? Well, you can get creative. Think about prepaying your insurance for the year. Offer to pay for group outings, or if you have a organization or business or club event that's putting on a big thing or making a big order, offer to pay there and get reimbursed. Big purchases like going to a dentist or holiday shopping. Maybe someone needs a new MacBook or the new iPhone 7. Those add up as well. And then you can also get free after rebate items from places like Staples, where they always have a free after rebate item, or around Black Friday for the States, there's a lot of software that goes free after rebate. Or offer to just make big purchases for some of your close friends and family who you would trust to pay you back. And lastly, gift cards. So you can get actually a little bit more creative with gift cards. For example, if you need a gas card, you can actually buy a Shell gas card or an Amazon gift card from a store and just save that as money. So the money is spent on a credit card, but it's kind of stored. It's like you're saving into a separate fund. So no job, no credit card, where would you start? So a lot of students, college students who talk to me about travel hacking always ask about this, where they don't really have a credit score, they don't have a credit card, they don't have a job. So where do they start? And then so if you've never had a credit card before, I always recommend people to start with your bank. Wherever you're banking, see if you can establish your first credit card, usually a student card, and that will get you going with your credit score. It might be a year or two before you can really apply for some of the higher tier airline cards. But a big part of having a credit card that's points earning is making sure you have a job, a working job that can pay for your card and pay it off. So that's something to keep in mind as well. What are your points worth? Just about to wrap up here, but thepointsguy.com is one of the top tier travel hacking blogs in the world. The Points Guy, his name's Brian. He used to have a job in New York City and then he was travel hacking as a hobby. But after putting on his blog and having so many people visit his blog, he does travel hacking full-time now as a full-time job, and he runs a company doing it. And he's able to do that. So like these valuations are personal valuations from him. There's no set formula, but if you go to thepoints.guy.com, and I'll have a link below this video, but it'll give you an idea of what the points per point system is worth. For example, a Chase Ultimate Reward points is worth about 2.1 cents per point. This is important to kind of understand when you realize every point system is a little bit different, and then to reserve hotels for points. And Hilton, for example, is tens of thousands of points sometimes versus a Starwood hotel might only be a few hundred points or a couple thousand points instead. To maximize other things. So there's always sign-up bonuses, right, for credit cards, but there's actually also hotel promotion bonuses. There's airline promotions for flying to certain places. So look for those, sign up for those. They might look like this, for example, from Starwood. Stay a few nights and get bonus points. You can use shopping portals. Chase has their own, American Express has their own, and these portals, they just take you to a store website like apple.com or Newegg or Best Buy. Actually, Newegg is a business card thing. No, they're still around. So, like for example, these places, and all it does is if you click a link through here to shopping portal, you actually earn extra points for any purchases you make there. And lastly, I want to talk briefly about companion pass. And I think I'm going a little bit over time, but companion passes are a fun way to travel, especially domestically. They're mostly always for domestic tickets only, but Southwest has a companion pass. It's really famous, of course. So if you get a Southwest companion pass, you can designate one person. You can change this up to, I think, 3 times per year, but you can designate one person who's your companion. That person, whenever you fly, they fly for free. So it doesn't matter if it's a cash ticket that you bought, or if you use your Southwest points to buy that ticket, that person still flies for free no matter what. So they have to be on the same flight, but they fly for free. That's a free companion pass. If you're doing the math, that can easily be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on how you fly. But there are different ways to get it. For Southwest, you have to earn 110,000 points in 1 year. Good secret is that right now, the credit card sign up for Southwest, which is 50,000 points sign up per card. There are 4 of these Southwest cards. That actually counts towards 110,000 points. So if you got 2 of those cards, you don't even need 10,000 more. If you got 3 of the cards, you're guaranteed the companion pass. And it's valid through the rest of this year as well as the following year, depending on when you get the companion pass. So travel hacking is really just about fitting into your schedule and your life and opening doors for you. Without further ado, I think I chatted quite a bit. I'm going to turn it over for Steven for maybe a couple of questions.
Wow, you pretty much answered like all the questions that anyone would ask in terms of like all the good ones. But no, I did actually have a good one. Like, does this actually make you feel like you have to spend more money just to, actually hit your points goals, or
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it depends on, I think, what I'm what the sign up bonus I'm currently working on for, right? So I will never sign up for more than I can chew. So I have a very good understanding of what my monthly spend is, as should everyone else. And then I also have a good understanding of what are some big purchases that are coming up, or what are maybe some conferences that I'm helping organize that may have big purchases, like putting down something for a venue or catering that I know I'm going to be paying for anyway, and I might strategically open up a card specifically in time for that to meet that requirement, right? So that being said, once in a while, I may end up buying gift cards, for example, right, for myself. I normally would not. For example, Amazon. I love shopping on Amazon. Amazon Prime, and I get my stuff there. So I treat an Amazon gift card pretty much like cash. So I'm okay with buying down like $100 or $200 Amazon gift card because I know I'll spend it sometime in the next few months. And for me, that's kind of like if it helps make my spend requirement right happen and gets me the 100,000 points, for example, or 50,000 points, I'll do that. But knowing that I'm comfortable with making that purchase happen.
Okay. So how long does it usually take to open like one of these accounts? Because if you knew, like, let's say last minute, you were going to have to make a big purchase, could you do it within a week or two?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. You actually have to plan ahead for a lot of these cards. Even if you got approved immediately, it generally will take about a week to 10 days maybe for the card to be shipped to you.
Okay.
It varies, and sometimes once you get approved immediately, you can actually call in to the company and ask them if they can expedite your card. Especially some of the premium cards that you pay an annual fee for, especially the higher ones. Sometimes they will actually expedite the card for you, and they'll send it to you in 2 to 4 days. But you should always assume that you need at least about 2 weeks before you can get the card.
Sure.
Another piece of that is you may not get approved immediately. Sometimes you'll say, we're still reviewing this application. It may not say you're denied, or sometimes you'll be denied a card. And that may not be because you have bad credit, but because, you may have too high of a credit limit already with that particular bank. Let's say you already have 3 Chase credit cards, and then they each have a very high credit limit. Well, Chase looks at your income and they look at how well you've been doing credit score wise, and they'll come up with a certain number about what your risk is and how much you're comfortable with giving you credit limits. So in that case, if you're ever denied, or if it's ever in review for more than a couple days, you should always consider calling them. And every company actually has a reconsideration line. That's what it's called. So you can Google like Chase reconsideration line or American Express reconsideration line. And it sends you to a rep who is dedicated to be there to figure out whether or not they should reconsider the decision, because ultimately these car companies all want to make money off of you, right? They all want you to slip up, they want you to carry a balance over, and they want you to charge fees, right? Or they want to just have you spend more on them because it sends them cash. Ultimately, that's always their goal. So they know that it's in their advantage to for you to open their card.
Exactly.
You want to make sure that you can pay off and you're not going to be a liability.
Yeah. So can we come to you for advice, or how much time do you actually spend researching all this? Because
That's a good question. I will say I used to spend a lot more time than I do now. Part of that is just hobbies change and life changes a little bit, but there are a plethora of different travel hacking websites to kind of keep up to date with. I visit and frequent every week, so I will include those below in this video. A few of those are like boardingarea.com, for example, or
sure.
sky.com, millionmilesecrets.com. Those are great bloggers who this is either their part-time job now or full-time job, because unlike them, I'm not making any kind of commission off anyone who signs up for a card. But a lot of these bloggers, if you sign up for a card through their links, they actually make some referral commission. So that's a little bit different.
All right. Well, with your permission, I'm going to designate you as my travel hacking consultant, because
Yeah, there you go.
as I open those website, I just don't want to read through it. There's a lot of disclosures and little itty bitty languages in there.
There you go. Yeah.
Through it all, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I think that's a benefit of being part of a Rotary club where you have a travel hacker. So I'm happy to chat with members about it, of course.
Nice.
And then maybe that's a side perk.
That's awesome. Well, I have one last question is so would you actually recommend opening a new email just because you get a lot of spam email or what? Because like that website you showed us earlier, it looked like a huge place to put your email, and suddenly you're gonna get a huge spam list of emails.
Yeah, it really just depends. So none of these sites that are official and legit will send you spam email, but they will send you promotions, which can end up looking like spam if you're like, oh, I don't care about this right now, right? So it's your choice on whether or not you want to sign up. I would say we're in a world actually where it's hard to not get hundreds of emails a week. So there are actually tools out there to help declutter your inbox. One of my favorite tools is called Sane Later, so SANELATER, and that just basically they have a great algorithm and filter, and it splits your emails into so it sends only the important ones to your inbox, and then it splits like email newsletters, like weekly newsletters, into a separate inbox or a folder, and then a separate one for what I think is junk, and then a separate one for what I think might be important, but you can read like in a few hours. It's not immediate.
Sure. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. But just want to thank you, Mitty, for all the travel hack tips and everything. And I also like to designate Mitty as our official travel hack consultant in our club. So everyone just reach out to him. Sorry, did I just get busy?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I'm happy to chat with our members. So thanks so much, Stephen.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you again, Mitty.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.